3 roky později se nechají přemluvit německým pořadatelem ke vzpomínkovému vystoupení na festivalu Doomsday v Drážďanech. Po vystoupení si odskočí na krátký výlet do Prahy. A teď pozor, jde totiž o docela zásadní milník v historii Skinny Puppy.
Yeah, I think Prague was probably where we decided to kind of, reform and move forward with the whole concept of Skinny Puppy. It's true. In a weird way, I mean, it was that trip on the train and then spending the day together, and we had a wonderful time in Prague. And I mean, obviously, the way the city is was very inspirational to us, I think, in a lot of ways. And so I think that whole trip was the impetus for Skinny Puppy getting back together. We had a good discussion on that trip. 2 German people that were very insistent upon Ogre and I reforming and doing a show under any circumstances. And at first, we sort of took it as a joke, but then after a couple of years of them calling me, I said I would mention it to Ogre if I ever saw him again. And that's when I first started seeing you again. And I remember that was one of the first things I mentioned. It's like, I have these crazy guys that are calling me every year to ask me to do a show, and then really the idea sort of didn't get... It sort of seemed like there was some hope that we might actually do it at first. Well, there wasn't any hope, really. Yeah, it was sort of like, I don't know how it happened, but it happened. I think it was just a time and place thing. I think both of our lives were in a place of change in a way, and in context to how we looked at the band and how we saw ourselves in context to each other. And I think we both kind of went through an epiphany at the same time about our friendships and the things that we shared back when we were a lot angrier and a lot younger, and realized from the Doomsday show just what an incredible thing Skinny Puppy is when you really look at it and tear it apart, because it's basically 2 people that got together in an apartment and had an idea and shared tapes with people in Europe, and then started making our own music. And here we are, 20 some odd years later, able to perform in front of a Czechoslovakian audience. And we were just saying that on the way in. We're always reminding each other. 21 years ago, we were sitting there doing this show, and would you imagine we'd be here so much time later performing this in this country? It's quite a blessing in a weird way for us, so that we see it as a... Smile, altered music, shadow colors, melted honey, fish of eye, she uses tasting quite lovely. Towards the truth, full of statements, secret words lie. Orders form to multiply. Mental shock, feeling misery. Come find me, running us. Maybe it's not. Tumbling, I live, I always come what was there. Mental shock.
Právě určitá témata a politické postoje byly vždycky nedílnou součástí konceptu Skinny Puppy. V minulosti to bylo třeba životní prostředí nebo vivisekce. Co vámi hýbe dnes?
Right now I think Skinny Puppy is an observer. We in a way, I mean, as young people, we prophesized into something, and we took chances lyrically, and we took chances with our theater and musically, and it's brought us to here now. But at this point in my life personally, I really have no idea what's going on. I really don't know, the wrong of the right or the right of the wrong, in the sense of that thing I was led to believe is correct and righteous is not so righteous. And a veil's being lifted back for me to the point in my life at this point where I feel like I'm starting over again and understanding things and trying to reframe my whole context of how I perceive reality and how I perceive, this world. And so within that context, it's a great base to come from, because in a way we prophesize things with some of our songs in the past that have come to be or have gone on beyond us in a lot of ways, to where we're sitting here going, how can there be so much apathy in a world that's so, on the edge of so many catastrophes in a lot of ways, And it all comes down to fear ultimately, fear runs our lives. So Skinny Puppy is all about fear. So it seems relative still to this day.
Kdo na vás teď chodí? Hlavně původní fanoušci, nebo je to směska?
There's a total mixture of people. I mean, just like when we first started, there was guys out there like 45-year-old guys in Pink Floyd shirts that we'd just be going like, you know, and he'd just be like, you know, just grooving to the music. And I think that's because, you know, Kevin's always infused a real psychedelic element within the music. There's always been like, you know, lush melody and you know, really trippy psychedelic rhythmic parts, and it's had that feel to it that's cross-generational in a lot of ways because of the music he listens to. And so we've always grabbed in a large group of people. The interesting thing that, you know, probably what you're more asking about is there a new generation, and there definitely is a new generation of kids. I mean, I think now with the gothic music scene and the industrial music scene kind of crossing that 20-year Rubicon, there's definitely, I think, although it's not huge, it's still a cult following. There's still that generational thing starting to happen with kids. It's still like young kids that are like, yeah, you know, it takes them a while to get into it, but once they're into it, they're locked into it, and you know, that's something I think we're both really proud of.
Skinny Puppy na LovePlanet vystoupili v sestavě, kterou vedle obou hlavních protagonistů dotváří kytarista basista William Morrison a bubeník Justin Bennett ze skupiny Thrill Kill Cult. Můžeme se podívat proměně, kterou Ogre prošel během pár desítek minut od sympatického přemýšlivého chlapíka k postavě skrvaveného monstra jakoby nakaženého leprou. Ale tenhle ctitel skotských borcov Kanada má stále co předat v obou rolích. Na jedné straně, když drtí v děsivé masce do mikrofonu svá temná proroctví, a na druhé, když klidným hlasem oznamuje, že nová generace nemá sílu nic změnit, protože je psychotronickou reklamou zmasírovaná k úplné apatii. Kéž by se pro tentokrát seknul.